what were your first impressions on Sweden after moving here?
I think the first year was quite a shock, but I was expecting it to be. So when I got here, I didn't really have any expectations. I just came and was going to come for fun, and I came with a few of my friends that I had played with in college. So I knew that I had people and support around me, so I wasn't so homesick or anything. It was quite a fun year, and it was pretty funny when you go into like the grocery stores or you meet people and you're like, oh, okay, I need to sit down here for a second and really just look and see how everything is. But it was really fun. But like I said, I didn't really have any expectations. I just knew that it was going to be quite a different experience.
For sure.
But when I flew in, I was like, oh, it's quite similar to up north where I'm living, and lots of trees and lakes and oceans and everything. So it was quite similar in that way. So it wasn't a huge shock.
Sure. Yeah, you hit it right on the head as far as the landscape goes. That's the one thing I noticed right away was, it kind of looks like, Minnesota, Thunder Bay, that whole area there. It's like a lot of lakes, a lot of water, a lot of trees. Just, I was like, wow, it kind of feels like home a little bit.
Yeah.
But then when you get into the culture and the actual living and different things, it was a shock for me too. I'm not gonna lie. I hadn't been to Europe before. I've been to Canada, some different states and stuff, but never to Europe or anything like that. So it was a pretty big shock.
Even
for
the
me.
flight over too for me.
Yeah.
I'm not a huge flyer, but that 7 or 8 hours. I think the first time I came over it was like 10 hours, and I was so just sitting on the plane. Okay, did I make the right decision here?
Yeah.
No, but it's really nice.
Yeah. I mean, it's turned out to be awesome. For me and my family. I mean, this is, I think, year 9 now that I'm going over here, and it's just the people are so welcoming, and obviously for me a big thing is that the way they speak English really, really helps. I know that's not like with every country over here. It's it kind of helps that transition a little bit, where if there's that language barrier, but if you just they can flip this to English just like that, and it really, really helps you with trying to navigate the whole culture here.
You never really get like stuck on anything. Everybody's so welcoming and easy to help you out, and
so it's been a great place to play, a great place to live. Obviously the hockey's great, but it was definitely a shock to the system at first, and then once you become more comfortable and you learn the ways, it's definitely a great spot to be over here.
I think it's an easy lifestyle too. Exactly. Like everybody's so like laid back and easygoing. It's just you just feel like free all the time. It's really nice. Yeah,
that's funny you say that. Like I thought that right away. It's like, man, it's almost back in North America. Everybody's in a hurry. They're just going. And it's like here they kind of take a step back.
Fika.
Exactly.
3 hours.
It's like it's just a little bit slower pace of life, which is kind of a breath of fresh air sometimes. So no, it's definitely, like I said, it's been a good experience for sure.
Yeah, I agree. How is it playing hockey in Sweden, being a North American player?
Like I said, it's been good. I've been on a few different teams where, my first 2 years here, year or two, I can't remember if it was first 2 years, they had the import rule still, so it was only 2 North Americans on each team, and so it was just me and one other Canadian guy on my first year. And then I think it might have been after that first year they opened it up, and then you could have kind of as many as you wanted. But I played on teams with 5, 6, 7 imports, and then the past couple years here it's been me and Austin Farley was here for a couple years, but now it's just me on this year's team. And either way, it's been great. Like all the Swedish guys, a couple Finnish guys are awesome. They all talk to me in the locker room, and we've grown pretty close. And same with the other teams with the North Americans. Obviously, you kind of gravitate to the North Americans a little bit because you have more in common. But they all make you feel welcome, and they're willing to speak English with you and translate things if you don't understand it. So it's been great. It's been a lot of fun playing Swedish hockey, and like I said, I think it's a great style of hockey. I think it's they produce some of the best hockey players in the world, so and you can kind of see why when you get into it. So
yeah, same with me. Kind of the first 2 years I also had some North Americans on my team, so like you said, you kind of tend to like work out with them or do more things with them, but the last 2 years I've been almost on my own, so in that way with the North Americans, so it's been kind of fun to see the differences between the seasons. And how I work with the different players, and
Yeah.
sometimes it's nice also to have like nobody in
Yeah.
that way. So then you do have to learn different things, and
Exactly.
I've learned a lot more Swedish the past
Yeah.
2 years just from having to and meeting new people on the team, and
Yep.
I think it's really like got me to meet new people and stuff. So
Yeah.
I think it's been pretty good.
Yeah, I mean, that's another thing. Like you said, I think I've learned a little bit more up here. I mean, I've learned over the years. I don't really know how to speak Swedish that well, but I can kind of understand, some of it. And
Yeah.
even, up here, everything's in Swedish with the coaches and all the guys, all the meetings, everything's in Swedish. So I try to,
Listen as
yeah,
much.
and try to pick up as much as I can.
Yeah.
But obviously I can't understand it all.
No.
But yeah, it's definitely made me learn it a little bit more. What did you know about Luleå and Luleå Hockey prior to moving here?
That's a tough one. If I were to say before I moved to Sweden, I didn't know so much about the league just because I didn't really look into it.
Mm-hmm.
Not trying to sound bad or anything,
No,
but when I played in the SDHL before the past 3 seasons, I think everybody knows about Luleå. Their team is incredible, and it's a very good organization, both men and women. So I knew a lot about them. I knew that they're a very hard team to play against, and everybody wants to come here and play for them, and it's been super welcoming so far. So it's been pretty fun.
Yeah, that's good. Yeah, for me, I mean, like you said, when I first came to Sweden, I didn't know. I knew about Sweden just because they had reached out to me in college. A couple teams in Sweden did, and I kind of looked up and did a little bit of research on the Swedish league and stuff like that. But I didn't know Luleå exactly as a city or the team or anything like that. But obviously, like you said, once I got here and played, I obviously found out quick that it's way up north. I was like, okay, that was a little
People
different.
ask if you're crazy.
Yeah, exactly. You might get that question: is it it's dark all the time, all this stuff, and how's the weather? But like you said, they've always had a great program, great organization that's done really well. They're very professional, and yeah, they treat you really well up here. And I think they got some of the best men's and women's team in the country right now. So it's definitely been a lot of fun to be a part of the organization up here.
I agree. How is it living and playing hockey in Luleå?
It's been good. I was a little nervous at first just because I was coming from Ängelholm and Rögle down south, and that's way down south. So I knew it was going to be a big change. And obviously people talk about how dark it gets in the winter and stuff like that, and I was like, okay, but the weather is not really an issue. I mean, we have some bad winters.
Yeah,
where we're
that's
from,
what I was going to say. The weather is so similar.
Yeah, the snow and the cold and stuff is similar to where we're from. It's just, yeah, it's a little darker, and it gets to be a grind a little bit during the thick of the winter, but the city is great. I mean, there's some things to do. It's a nice sized city. My family and I have enjoyed it here, so it's been a good fit. And yeah, there's a little difference in travel when you go on road trips for games and stuff like that, but you kind of get used to it, and you kind of figure out the way that your schedule works, and you just kind of go with it. So overall, it's been a good experience.
Yeah, I was so surprised when I first moved up here because we'd always been used to coming to the rink and just playing while it was dark and then leaving. So I never even seen what the city had looked like. So I was kind of in shock when I first moved up here, and it's so nice.
Yeah.
It's so nice to be around the water all the time, and it's easy to go to the beach, or there's so many things to do, like you said. So it's been really nice to live in the city, I think, so far.
Yeah, it's a good spot.
You can ask me in a few months
No,
when the winter comes.
Yeah, I'm sure it'll be a little different. But a lot of people that I've talked to said, "Oh, you'll love it up there. Like it's a nice place. It's a good city. The people are super nice, and it's lived up to its reputation. So I've had a lot of fun so far."
I agree. What are the differences between playing hockey in Sweden and North America?
Well, I mean, I guess for me, I can't really attest to pro hockey in North America because I didn't play it. I didn't play in the NHL, AHL, or anything like that. I just kind of came right over from college. But the one thing that I noticed over here is just the skating and the way that the Swedish players move. Everybody's so fast, and it's just every single person that's on every team can skate, and if you can't keep up with the pace, you're gonna have some trouble, is what I've noticed. And then obviously, you pair the skill set with some of the players, and you can really see, like I said before, how they develop some top end players. And I just think North America is kind of getting away from just like the rough and tough, just physical hitting type of play, and I think it's becoming more, offensive and making plays, and there's not as much fighting and different things like that. But the thing I noticed with that first few years was I was like, wow, these guys can really skate, and I'm going to need to make sure the skating is okay in order to be able to keep up with them. So that's kind of one big thing that I noticed for me.
Yeah, I think like the same with because of the bigger sheet of ice here too. So there's so much more space to skate too. I really noticed that too. And also the workouts. Yeah. When I first moved to Sweden, I was like in shock. I honestly thought that I wouldn't make it because of the way that the girls train here. Their machines in the gym, on and off ice, that's their focus, and they're so good at it. It's really changed like my perspective of the game when I've watched and looked up to them. So that's been one really cool thing for me. I never used to care so much about working out, and it's been really cool to look up to some of the bigger players here and watch how they train off the ice. So
yeah, I mean it's the same thing that I noticed too when you said the workouts. I was like, I mean, obviously you work out in college, right? You learn your lifts and stuff like that, and that's kind of really where you start to get into the working out pretty heavily. But then when I came over here, it was, I couldn't believe it.
No.
Like I couldn't believe the amount of weight these guys do. Everybody's lifting, like how they're running. Like it was just like, oh my gosh, it was crazy, and it made me look too. Like I was like, oh well, I gotta, maybe do more of this, do less of this, and kind of tweak like how I wanted to train in order to feel good to play over here. Because
exactly. You want to fit into the way that the style of play is done here too,
because
and
if you're training
physicality
wrong, if you're training wrong, then like you said, you might not even make it.
No, and you don't look the greatest either in the gym when everybody else is doing like 20 kilos more than you. You're like, okay, maybe I need to try and get into the same routine.
Sure.
So I really tried to do that the past year, so it's been really fun to try and keep up with them, and I think they're really motivating, and it's really fun to watch.
Yeah, it's just going to make you hopefully better in the end, so if you try to emulate what they're doing. So what would you like to bring from Swedish hockey to North American hockey?
That's a tough one. I would say, like I just said, it's been fun to use the ice here and be able to skate and use speed. And like I said about the gym and maybe like workouts and how I've worked out here compared to back home, and bring some of that back to players I know or to the culture of hockey back home, and like the physicality on the ice. I think it's so fun, especially with girls hockey too, because it's not supposed to be contact, but I think that if you watch one of the games, there's a lot of contact, and we actually enjoy to do it too. So it makes the game more entertaining for us and for people watching. But I really like to play physical and have that aspect in the game. So I think we have a lot of that in the league here, and I think it brings a lot more entertainment for both the audience and for us. So.
Yeah, I think that's good for you guys if they just kind of let you play, right, and just play naturally. And
those are the best games.
Yeah, exactly. So I mean, for me, I think like you said, the skating. But I think like I said, North American hockey's kind of already getting that way, and they don't have the big sheet, so it's kind of hard to say like, you'd obviously like a little bit of that extra time and space, because I mean they're not going to change the ice sheet, so
no.
It's kind of hard to say that, but maybe some of the training exercises they do here, I think that a lot of it's focused on, at least the teams that I played for, is like conditioning. I think that's a big one. Obviously you have your weights and they still go pretty heavy, but a lot of the conditioning I was like, wow, this is pretty intense.
Yeah, they can all run so well.
Everybody can run. They crush the bike. It's like, and I think they find that balance of being able to go hard, but also not to the point where you're gonna be in trouble for the season, where you're putting yourself in a bad spot, where you're injured or you're just burnt out before your season even starts. So,
and they're like mentality too. They're so mentally tough. Where I feel like that was probably like my biggest downfall throughout my career, is like the way I feel about when I am working out or doing the run. It's so mental for me.
Yeah.
And they're just like, just do it. Like, get over it. And okay.
Yeah, I know.
So I think that's kind of crazy too. Like almost all the Swedish players I've met or other players from other countries that have played in the league, I've learned from them, like, their mentality is crazy, and I think it's like kind of awesome to look up to. So
yeah, I agree. I think that they're, you know, mentally strong, and like you said, if you try to learn from some of them, I think it's just going to make you a better player in the end. So yeah, it's been a good experience, and hopefully you have a good season this year.
Yeah, you too.
So, yeah.